Okay, in this tutorial I'm going over some of the content from Chapter 3. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the Chapter 3 notes. And last time we were talking, we got down to initialize. We talked about what the meaning of initialize was. At this point, I would like to go ahead and begin a new program. And I will start this program in Microsoft Visual Basic 2010 Express. Well, the first concept I'm going to talk about is this option explicit. If you've read my notes, you probably already know I'm asking you to not invoke option explicit. But your book, if you read the content there, it says it's a real good thing to do. Use option explicit. So I better explain that. I'll go ahead and create a new project. And I'll just call this project Chapter 3 Content. And I'm going to make a Windows Form application, and I'm going to say OK. Some of you in class are using the studio environment, so it's going to look a little bit different than what I'm doing. If you're working in Express, what's the very next thing you better do if you're working in Visual Basic? Yeah, you want to go to File and Save All, because even though I created that project, the project doesn't even know where it is. So in Express, you better say Save All. So I'm going to save it into my Chapter 3 folder. And I'll say OK. And I'll say save it. Now, I wrote in the instructions that if you want to use the option explicit command, you've got to click right here where it says public class class 1, and you go up here and you say option explicit. That's all you have to do. Can't go anywhere else. It's got to go before this first line. What that will force you to do is to write really, really nice code. You can't do any slop. In Visual Basic, we have syntax correction, where if you use like capital letters, like say here, we declare a variable. I say dim x as integer. And then later on I say x, capital X, is equal to 7. It's not going to like that. Well, it was supposed to not like that. Usually what option explicit means is you better not mix up capital letters and lowercase letters. It's one thing that'll happen. Won't let you get away with that. It shouldn't. But it's even doing error correction right now. So we're not even really seeing that. If I call a function, like if I say string my string, or dim my string as string, and I set this word equal to goldfish, if I say msg box, message box, my string dot length, length is a function, and it should have parentheses around the end of it. Here it doesn't seem to even give me an issue with that. So it looks like our option explicit stuff is letting us get away with things that it shouldn't. Usually it won't let you get away with any of this. Usually when you write the word length, you have to put parentheses here, because from here to here, that's a function. What does length do? We learned this yesterday in class. What does it do, guys? Counts the number of characters in a word. So if I look at goldfish, I see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 letters here. So when I run my program, since this is on the form load event, that is going to be the first thing that happens. It's going to be the first thing that you see. Before my program even shows the form, this will run. So you're going to see that 8, and only then are you going to see your program. It's the first thing that happens, and sometimes that's very, very handy to know about when you make a program. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to tell you in this class, don't do it. Don't have Option Explicit. I want you to get help from Visual Basic. I think it's going to help us write code. But just be aware that in other languages, if you do some of the things I was talking about, like use capital X's when you declared X as lowercase x here, you're going to get errors. Visual Basic will let you get away with that. And technically, maybe I should make you write really perfect code. But it's kind of nice to have the help when you write your code. Okay, let's go ahead and see what else we have here. So we learned yesterday what the word initialize means. What does the word initialize mean, guys? That's right, setting a value to a variable the first time. I've just initialized a variable in my code right here. I said dim x is integer. Right here on this line here, I set it equal to a value. That's where I initialized it. Now on the next line, if I say x is equal to 2, that's not an initialization. The initialization happened here. I asked you the other day to pay attention to initializing your variables equal to 0 when you write your code. Now by default, because Visual Basic allows you to get away with sloppy code, you don't even have to say that. X is automatically set equal to 0. But if you get in the habit of doing this, it'll make you a better programmer in other languages besides this one. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. We know that when you declare, you reserve space in memory for a variable. No other variable can use that space. It's like the room is reserved. We learned yesterday also what the meaning of concatenation was. That is where you add two words together. We studied what ASCII means. That means give me the ASCII code for a letter. So if I do the ASCII code for the letter A, does anybody remember what the ASCII code is for the letter A? 65. So if I said right here in my code ASCII and then put A in double quotes, it would just give me the value of 65 if I outputted it. What does CHR do? It does the opposite. You give it an ASCII code and it'll tell you what letter that is or what character you have on the keyboard. And let me tell you, there's some characters that you can't even see that aren't even on your keyboard. You can get some crazy things. You can get characters all the way up to, let me remove this message box here, and let's go to our form. I'll put a button here, and I'll just say this is about ASCII. ASCII is a very cool command. Let's go to our text property of the button, and I'll just call this ASCII. And let's add a listbox. And for instance, I could say, give me the listbox 1. I'm going to say items.add. And now, guys, don't be afraid to put variables in here, numbers, or even calls to functions. So I'm going to spread that way out just to emphasize the fact I'm going to do the ASCII command of what is the character for character 240. Now that's right off the charts. I can't even tell you what that is. If I rebuild my code by going to build, and then I go to run it, and I click on that, it just tells me that's a 50. That doesn't even make sense. Let's try something else. If I say 65, we know that's the letter A. Wait a minute, what's going on? We might have to convert that to a character first. So, oh, wait a minute. That's what I want. I want the character for that code, and I've mislabeled this. Let me change ASCII to read CHR. I said that wrong. I apologize. Now when we run our code, and I click on that, you're going to see the letter A. Sorry about that. If I add some crazy number up to 255, like 240, I have no clue what we're about to see. Could be like the yen symbol or some weird Swedish character or something like that. That is pretty crazy. What is that? It looks like the male symbol or something like that. I'm not sure what it is. The font is too small. So you can get at all of these things. In fact, here's something I'll show you right now. I probably shouldn't show you this. Here's something a little advanced. I'm going to declare a variable. I'll say dim I as integer. I'll say for I is equal to 0 to 255. We're going to look at all those crazy characters. What I'm creating here is a loop. You're not responsible for the loop. But let's see what some of the crazy characters are. I'll say listbox items.add, and I'll say we're going to add the character of whatever that latest value of I is. And we'll say I equals, and then I'll concatenate that onto whatever the character is. So what's going to happen here is, oh, I don't want I equals, I just want the equals. I want to say I, and I want to say ampersand and then equals. What you're going to see here is, I'll see the number, I'll see an equal sign, and I'll see the weird character that's made with that. Do you understand? And I'm going to see that for everything from 0 to 255. Now, you're not responsible for this thing here, this for statement, but you are responsible for the CHR. And this is a fascinating thing to see, because when you run it, you're going to see some pretty crazy stuff. Click that button and look at that. A lot of things are not even visible, but if you scroll down, some of the things you can actually see the characters for. You should see some pretty weird characters for. So if you ever want to get those characters that you're seeing, like some of the things over like 100 are pretty bizarre, you can just use the ASCII characters for them and insert them in your code. So that's kind of cool to see. Now, you may know this already. You can get at some of those weird characters. Let me run that again. I see that it looks like the trademark symbol is 174. That's what I think I'm seeing there. I can get at that trademark symbol one other way. I'll put a comment here. If you press, I believe it's your control key, and hold it down, and what did I say that was, 174? If you dial in 0, I hope this works, 174, you won't see anything happen. Oh, excuse me, it's Alt. I'll press Alt, press 0, 174, and then let up on your Alt key. You should see it. Okay? So you can get at some of those characters, and if you want, you can even get them to display in things, like I could just say listbox1.items.add. If I just want to add that, I just copied the symbol, pasted it here, put it in double quotes, and now the last thing you'll see is that character added. Well, you're not responsible for knowing what all those characters are. You're seeing that there because what I just copied and pasted in my list box. Do you understand? Well, this is advanced. I'm not going to ask you about it, but it's just kind of cool to see. Okay? Let's go back to this. So everybody should kind of appreciate ASCII gives you the character for some word ASCII code, and CHR gives the number to the ASCII code. Okay? So you're going to see characters with character, and you're going to see ASCII codes, I guess, with ASCII. I hope I said that right. Now, let's go ahead and go on. We talked yesterday about length to upper to lower. We also talked about different regions here of your program. When you're into here, you're into your code editing window. Your code, this just might surprise you, is just a text document. You can open up Notepad if you wish, and if you get into Explorer, and you go to this program that we're just making today, which looks like it's this one. And you go into your file and you go into the very first directory. You should see something here that says Form1VB. I can drag and drop that into Notepad, and guys, there's the code that I've been writing. It's just a text document. Okay? A lot of high-level languages work that way. C++, Java, and all of this work that way. So you can actually see your code and see what's going on if you can get at that VB document. That's not your whole project, it's just the code. There has to be lots of other things there to make it all work together. In fact, you can even edit it from Notepad if you feel like it. Okay, let's see what else is in the notes. I talked about the trim command. I'll give you an example of it. Here's one we haven't used yet, index of. Let's go see what index of does. So I'm going to go to Visual Basic, and I'll put a button here. This is something very much like what you're going to do on your next assignment. I'm just going to say this is index of, so we all know what I'm about to do. To make this work, let's go ahead and add a text box to our form. And I'm going to put one above and one below. Two text boxes. This one here, I'm going to enter a big sentence. This one here, I'm going to enter something from that sentence, and I'm going to use the index of command to go find whatever I type here. Let's see how that works. Well, I need two strings, one for each text box that you're going to enter stuff into. So I'll say dim big string as string, dim what I'm looking for. What do you want to call what we're looking for? We can call it anything. My target as string. Let's read what those values are. So big string comes from the top toolbox. I'll say big string, or from the top text box. What's the name of that first text box I put there, guys? Text box 1. What property am I getting it from? .text. Okay, we've recorded what that is. What's the next line going to look like if I want to read what my target is? Where are we getting target from? Target is equal to what, guys? Text box, that second one, obviously what would it be? 2.text. Now, let's go ahead and add where you find that word in the big sentence. So I'm going to say listbox1.items.add. First thing you're going to write is, what's the big string? Well, the big string is big string. Then I'm going to lay down a period, and I'm going to write index of. And what are we hunting for, guys? We're hunting for the target. Our program's actually complete. Now, even though this looks weird, all that is a number. It tells me where in this word is. In fact, we've just created a search function. That's what we've just done. Let's see it in action. I'm going to go ahead and build it, run it. I'll say, up here for my big sentence, monkeys like, I don't know, oranges. Now you got to remember what I wrote there. Let's hunt for the word key there. Okay, I'm looking for the word key in this big string up here. If I click this button, it tells me it's at index 3. Is it? Let's see. The first letter in computer science, the first position of anything, doesn't start the way we normally count things. Usually we think the first position is 1. In computer science, forget that. In all languages I know of, you know what number we start at? We start at 0. That's right. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3. Can you see? It accurately showed me where the word key was in the sentence up here. I have created a search function. Everybody understand? Okay. So anyway, that's the idea of index if. That's the concept. The next thing I see here after index of is a little explanation of what I just did. It also talks a little bit about the variables. Now, I believe I spoke about the variables yesterday, didn't I? Yes, thank you. That concludes the first tutorial.